Why debt should be your best property investment friend. Would you agree with me that 90% of people fear debt and would do everything to pay off their debt to be debt free? And interestingly, about 90% of people who are rich, they own most or the most amount of debt in the world. And why do you think this is the case? By the end of this video, you shall discover 3 reasons why you should love debt and be friends with it right now. Louistas Nyuyse here from Frontline Wealth Solutions. Just recently, I assisted one of my property investment clients to build his credit history from a minus position to a plus 930 points. When I first spoke to him, he hated credit cards. And literally, the only credit history he had was from a phone contract which he had years ago and which destroyed his idea about debt and left him in a terrible position for financial transactions in the future. He could not get credit when I first met him, and he has since gone through my training program and bought a house within 6 months with a mortgage debt of nearly £300,000. And you may be asking, what has this got to do with you? Well, if you are a nurse, a teacher, an immigrant, the likelihood that you will be in this position is extremely high. So, let me tell you why you should clean up your credit history and embrace debt. You know, when we talk about debt, we are literally loosely talking about owing someone, and usually financial institutions, or owning liabilities than assets, says Robert Kiyosaki. But there is good debt and also bad debt. Good debt, for example, is the sensible investment in your financial future in order to buy assets. For example, owning a mortgage in an investment property, buying a car that you will use as a taxi, buying a business that is going to give you monthly cash flow. And good debt generally improves your overall financial position in the future. And bad debt, as it is, on the other hand, it does not refer to the accounting term here, loosely speaking, but we are using it here to mean owing somebody some money, especially a financial institution, and that takes away money from your pocket, and it does not bring money back to you. In other words, liabilities. For example, buying or borrowing money to buy your residential property, borrowing money to pay for your wedding, borrowing money to pay for your private car. And did you know that these are the favorite reasons why the banks lend people money? Does it bother you? It does to me. That's a conversation for another day, by the way. So, what debt should you get and why? You should be getting good debt as you can, as much as possible. For example, if you can borrow £10,000 and put it in an investment property, which is going to give you positive cash flow, go for it. Banks and the government would actually love you for it. They would want you to do so. And why will I be encouraging you to make friends with debt? Firstly, because the government in itself encourages businesses and people to use debt by allowing them to actually deduct the interest on the debt from corporation tax. Did you know that? Yes, the more debt you have, the less tax you pay. And that is why big companies like Google and the rest, who have used debt to amass riches, paradoxically pay very little tax. And apply this to property investment. And for example, I get a mortgage loan for 5% and make a profit of 10 to 12%. And would you agree with me that this loan would have served and paid me well. Secondly, debt is good because it is a much cheaper form of financing than equity. It is easier and cheaper to borrow £500,000 from a bank than, for example, saving £500,000 to purchase a property. Would you agree with me? So, how long can it take you, and will it take you to save that type of an amount? How much will it cost you physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, and financially itself to save that amount of money? But that sort of money and loan, you can get it from the bank within a few weeks. Thirdly, debt is important because it qualifies you for a future financing. It gives you the credit history, and I get to speak to prospective property investors who say to me, for example, that they don't have credit cards, and I know when they say so that they need a lot of financial education. You have got to have debt and manage it well to qualify for a good credit. To qualify for a good credit history that is going to also give you future and financial transactions. Note, although debt should be your best investment friend, you cannot and should not finance your entire business on debt. That explains why the 100% mortgages were a financial sin for those who used that debt in order to buy personal homes rather than investment real estate. I got a disclaimer here though. I am not a tax or financial advisor, but through my studies and my experience, I hold this knowledge to be true. So speak to your tax advisor and your accountant for details of how you can utilize debt to grow your wealth. However, click the link below here to join our Facebook group where investors, they share freely these ideas of how to implement tax ideas, other financial ideas, and see you there and stay blessed.